Hello, and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with the Samantha stories. Samantha Saves the Day, Chapter 2, The Sketchbook. A dreary gray sky hung over the girls the next morning. During the breakfast, it started to rain. The rain felt hard and heavy, swooping in sheets across the lake, ribbing down the window panes. By mid-morning, the ground looked like soupy chocolate pudding. Agnes moaned, "How can it rain so hard? The sky was perfectly clear last night." "The weather can change very quickly here on these mountain lakes," said the Admiral. "Sunny one minute, rainy the next." He peered out the window. "We're in for the day. This is a real summer storm. Time to batten down the hatches. Foul weather ahead." The three girls just looked at him with faces as mopey as the moose over the mantle. "It's only 11 o'clock in the morning. We've already done absolutely everything there is to do," complained Samantha. It was true. They had helped Mrs. Hawkins make bread. They had been shooed out of wood taken by a maid who wanted to dust. They had watched the boatmen fix the big red canoe in the boathouse. They had pressed every wildflower they had gathered the day before. Agatha had finished embroidering the tiny pillows she stuffed with pine needles from the evergreen trees. Samantha had rearranged all the postcards in her album. Agnes had worked on jigsaw puzzles for hours. The three girls had run out of indoor things to do. "Well," said the Admiral cheerily, "since we can't go fishing, we might as well play Old Maid." What?" So until lunchtime, the girls and the Admiral played game after game of Old Maid. The Admiral lost every game, mostly because he was so nice. "I say, Samantha," he'd exclaim, "I've just picked up the Old Maid." So everyone always knew when he had it in his hand. After lunch, the grown-ups all took naps. How can they be tired when they haven't done anything all day? Agatha wondered out loud. She plunked herself on the bearskin rug in front of the fire. "I'm so bored," complained Agnes. "I wish we could go outside." "I have an idea," said Samantha. "Let's set up our easels and paint on the porch. That way we can be outdoors and not get wet." "Good idea," said Agatha. "I'm going to paint a picture of you, Samantha." It was a little windy on the porch and rather damp, but it felt good to get out of the house. The three artists got out their wooden boxes filled with tubes of paint and worked happily and quietly for a while. Then Agatha looked over at Agnes's easel. "Jeepers, Agnes," she said. "That's an awfully big rabbit you're painting." "It's not a rabbit," said Agnes. "It's a sailboat." "Oh," said Agatha. "How come it has ears?" "Those aren't ears," said Agnes crossly. "That's supposed to be a flag." She sighed. "I have a little trouble making the paint go where I want it to go." "I know what you mean," said Samantha. "This house I'm painting looks as if a giant had stepped on and squished it." The girls giggled. "Maybe there's something wrong with these paintbrushes," said Agatha. She looked at the bristles of her brush. "Maybe they're worn out." "Grandma told me there are more brushes in the attic," said Samantha. "Let's go look for them." Samantha led the way up the winding stairs to the second floor. They tiptoed past Grandma's door so they wouldn't disturb her nap and climbed up the narrow stairs to the attic. The attic was long and dark. It smelled of flowers and dried dust. "It's spooky up here," whispered Agnes. And it was, just a little. In the corners there were old chairs covering with sheets. They looked like lumpy ghosts. Outside, the wind swished through the tree top. The rain had calmed down to a steady soaking shower. It sounded unhurried, as if it would stay forever. The line from the windows were so murky the girls wouldn't even tell what time of day it was, or even what season. "Ooh, look," cried Agatha. "Old hats, boxes and boxes of them." The girls threw off dusty lids and lifted off the hats of the tissue paper. The hats were old-fashioned and frilly. They had big floppy brims and wide satin ribbons. Agnes found one with a whole bird on top, and Samantha found one with an enormous pink bow. They put on hats and paraded in front of the greenish mirror and sent back a wavery image. They found gloves in another box, and beads, and handbags, and shoes. In one box they found a stiff corset. Beneath a pile of old writing books, Samantha found a box of old photo albums and scrapbooks. Letter books were shut down fast with brass clasps. Their golden-edged pages looked as if no one had turned them in a long, long time. Samantha sat on the floor and opened one of the heavy books. The pictures were brown and yellow and a little faded. Everyone looked stiff and solemn. "What is that?" asked Agatha. She sat down next to Samantha. "It's one of Grandmary's old photograph albums," answered Samantha. "Jiminy, here's a picture of Uncle Guard when he was little. Look at his long curls. He's as roly-poly as a teddy bear, laughed Agatha. There he is with a fish he caught. That picture was taken right here on the dock at Piney Point, said Agatha. She was looking over Samantha's shoulder. The fish is as big as he is. The girls fell into giggles and sneezes from the dust. Is that you, Samantha? Asked Agnes, pointing to a dark-haired girl in one of the pictures. No, said Samantha. That must be my mother when she was a little girl. See, it's labeled Lydia. She stared hard in the face and smiled at her from the picture. She looks just like you, said Agate. Her smile is the same as yours. Do you miss her and your father just awfully? Asked Agnes. I miss them, but I don't really remember them very much, said Samantha. They died when I was only 5. She sighed. I wish I could remember more about them and the few things we did together, but I really can't. Agatha turned to the last photograph in the book. Here's your mother again with Grandmary, and that man must be your grandfather. Look at Guard pretending to steer the boat. All 3 girls smiled at silly Uncle Guard. These pictures are funny, said Agnes. I wonder why Grandmary keeps them away up here. Maybe they make her sad, said Samantha. Maybe they make her miss my mother and grandpa too much. She put the book in a box and pulled out a smaller maroon one. On the cover, it said, My Sketchbook. Inside, someone had written, Happy Memories of Teardrop Island. And below that, Sketches and Watercolors by Lydia. What's that? Asked Agatha. Her curls brushed against Samantha's cheek as she leaned forward to look. Samantha turned the pages carefully. It looks like something my mother made, she said. It's sketches and watercolors of Teardrop Island. She must be a really good artist, said Agnes. The girls were quiet as they were through the book. They were tiny, perfect drawings of picture of birds and squirrels, trees, and butterflies. There were larger watercolor paintings, too. The colors were soft and shimmery, as if they came through the mist of the rainbow. Near the middle of the book, there was a picture that showed a little bare-legged girl standing in a pool of water. She was holding onto a man's hands and smiling. Behind them was a tangled of wild roses and a beautiful waterfall tumbling down over mossy rocks. The sunlight poured through the trees, and its greenish light made this scene look like a fairyland. At the bottom of one picture, it said, Samantha at the Waterfall, 1897. Oh, that's you, breathed Agnes, with your father. Look at that waterfall, said Agatha. Was it really that beautiful? I don't know, said Samantha. She shook her head. I don't remember anything about it. I didn't even know I'd ever been to Teardrop Island. But look, said Samantha, the whole rest of the book is filled with pictures of you and your parents on Teardrop Island. You're having picnics and picking wildflowers. She flipped through the pages. It seems like it was her favorite place. It looks like your parents took you there lots of times. Samantha stared at drawings. She always thought Teardrop Island was a dark, sad place, but her mother's drawings, it was lovely and full of light. Teardrop Island didn't look like a place to be afraid of or a place to hate at all. Samantha turned back to the painting of the waterfall. She could almost smell the roses and feel the slippery, mossy stones under her feet. My parents and I were together here, she thought, and we all looked so happy. Suddenly she said, let's go there. Let's go to Teardrop Island. Agnes and Agatha looked up at her. But I thought you didn't want to go there ever, said Agatha. Well, I didn't know it was so beautiful, said Samantha. And I didn't know I used to go there with my mother and father. I forgot, but maybe if I go back, I'll remember. I'll remember what it was like and what my parents were like and being together. She smoothed the page under her hand. I just have to go there. Do you want to come with me? Of course, said both twins. We'll go tomorrow, said Samantha, so we'll have all day. We better not tell anyone. All right, said Agnes. Look, said Agatha, it stopped raining. Let's go out and splash in some puddles. Samantha followed the twins out of the shadowy attic, down the stairs, and onto the bright, warm sunshine. She carried the sketchbook carefully in both hands. Now that she had found it, she had never wanted to let it go. And that's the end of that chapter. Goodbye.